Hey, good morning, everybody. It is day 59. Day 59. Good morning, spiritual healthcare people. It is good to see you guys. It is pouring rain here. I don't know where it is, what's happening with your weather right now, but it's pouring rain here. It is good to see everybody regardless. It's the last day of the May long weekend. Good morning to everybody. It's nice to see all of you. It's always so good to see everybody in the morning. As I say, it's day 59 today. Day 59. That's so crazy. It feels like days ago was just day 3. You know, it's just nuts. So good morning, Patricia and Dale. Hi guys, it's good to see you guys. I've got some amazing questions that have come in over the last little while. Good morning, Will. Nice to see you. We've got some. Good morning, Marge. How are you? We've got some really, really good questions. We got some good questions today, like some mind-bending ones. So this is going to be really fun. It is good to see everyone. I hope you guys had a really good evening yesterday. Good morning, Nigel. Nice to see you. It's always good to see everybody like logging in and whatnot. We've got some cool, and I got a really, really cool exercise for you guys to do. I've got a couple of cool exercises actually for you guys to do today, which will be really neat. I think you guys will have a lot of fun with this. So we've got some great questions, everything from questions on frequency to reincarnation to choices and decisions, all sorts of things we'll be talking about today. I'm like, there's some really good ones, some that really made me think too, which I love. So I'm glad you guys, I love when you guys send me in questions. I love it so much. So don't stop doing that because I just love it. Everybody's always afraid that their question is going to be stupid. And it's like, no, it's not stupid. Just send it in because sometimes it can generate the best discussion. So please keep sending in the questions. Good morning, Kaz. Nice to see you. It's so good to see everyone. This morning is going to be great. And, as I say, I have some really, really cool questions for you guys that have come in, and hopefully some good answers. Hopefully some good answers that will go with those good questions. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see where it goes. So I hope you guys, as I say, had a great evening yesterday. We did so much work in the area of decision making and things like that yesterday. There's going to be so much more comprehensively that's going to go into this section in the spiritual healthcare masterclass will be coming out later. It'll be really cool. So good morning, Des. Nice to see you as always. It's always good to see everyone. You know, it's like we've got such a fantastic community here now, and it's so great. I love it. I love it so much. And now as things are beginning, as we kind of move through what's going on lately, with the pandemic, I know some people are looking, at their reopening businesses and all of that kind of thing. So right now is a very tumultuous time. So it's good that we're all doing this. Good morning, Will. Good morning, Dan. Nice to see you. Will wants to know if Galen has finished his art project. So for those of you guys who don't know about this, so Galen, my snake, he gets these like ideas in like the middle of the night, and he'll start tearing things apart and putting things together. Like he's really smart. And recently he decided he was going to tear all this stuff off the walls of his tank and then build a new thing. So he got part of this, whatever he's doing, done last night, but he still was prepared to like take things off the walls again. So I gave him some more material, and now he's happy and he fell asleep. So I don't know. I have no idea what he's doing. I have no idea. He's so funny. Good morning, Sally. Good morning, Marge. Good morning, Darren. Oh, it's nice to see all of you guys. It's so funny. Animals are the funniest things. And it actually pertains to a question that I got, that we're going to be talking about animals today, because like they're just, this is the strangest things. And, it's funny how creative they are. We don't often associate them with that level of creativity, but, you look at so many different animals that, you give them the right materials and you take away that need for, that survival mode, right? As soon as people and animals and whatnot come out of that feral survival mode, then they're allowed to allow their brains to flow and be creative. And it's amazing what animals will do. It's really cool. The people that, write, especially things like reptiles, off as stupid or, just basic or whatever. And it's like, it's so not true. So not true. So we've got some really, really, really neat, questions that have come in, and one of them relates to yesterday. So I want to start with that one first. And it actually came from Linda Judd this morning. We had a really great discussion, and I thought it would be great to bring it here to spiritual healthcare as well, because I thought it was a brilliant question. And she wanted to know the difference between, and talking about the difference between decisions and choices. So yesterday, right, we covered the idea of decisions and how decisions are made mind, body, soul. Everything's in alignment, and we move forward with that. And it becomes like a state of integrity, right? Like once we make that decision, the things that kind of line up with that decision, either they show up and appear, but also anything that doesn't match that decision starts to feel a little bit off, right? Like it doesn't feel right. So the difference between choice and decisions for me is that I find that choices are really made based off of the decisions that we end up, the conclusions, the decisions that we end up making. Those guiding points within our experience really do start to influence the choices that we make. And when we're not clear about that decision and that decision making, what ends up happening is we start to flip-flop all over the place. The choices become really difficult. Some people they'll come to me and, they'll have, a situation with like paranormal situation or something like that. And they don't know, which direction to move, where to go. They've been given a bunch of choices. They don't know which one is right. And I find a lot of the time that can be a result of not really being, number one, in tune with the decision that you've made. Have you made a decision? Do you have a clear vision as to what you want this to all look like? And we're going to be getting into that with the to-dos later today, which is, you're going to love. And, because once you have that clear vision, then the choices become a little bit easier. They're not as mind-numbing and mind-blowing as what they would be as if you didn't have that vision or had made that decision to begin with. So that's a part of it for me, is that a choice kind of starts to, they come and form in and along once that decision is made, and those choices start to fine-tune that vision and that decision. I also find too that choices become a lot easier once you are really in touch with who you are and your inner stillness and that inner being. Once you have that going for you, making those choices isn't it's just not such a burden anymore. Once you can kind of tune into that, and you can use that emotional guidance system to kind of pivot. And figure out, this feels better than this, or that feels better than, this choice over here. And when you've got that decision in front of you and that vision in front of you, it becomes a lot easier to figure out which one of those choices is gonna align with your vision, mind, body, spirit, source, and who you are and what's going on. So, people have asked me before, business-wise, with things like Entity Seeker and whatnot, how are you rebuilding from the pandemic? How do you know what to do, which way to go? And I can honestly tell you, like, this is the practice that I've been using right now, is, getting really clear, getting clear on that vision, figuring out what that is. And then the choices that show up become really, really easy to sort through. But having that clear vision, that long vision, man, it's like, unless you've got that, you're into everything, right? And some of the problem, and I've seen this with a few people in my life over the years, where, they'll start on a business or something like that, and then it's like they get 10 more ideas for the business or 10 more ideas for the project, and then now they're trying to incorporate these other 10 ideas, and everything just becomes unmanageable and out of control, and nothing gets finished either. Like, zero things get finished. So for me, like with Entity Seeker, I might have like a pile, like tons of fingers in the pie, so to speak. Like with Entity Seeker, I'm doing, the live shows, the tours, the TV shows, spiritual healthcare, workshops, and all that kind of thing. But I have a clear vision about what that is and what that looks like and what the purpose is that's driving all of those things. There's a continuing theme in it. So once that vision is decided on, it's really easy for me to then make choices. And if something's just not lining up with that long term, then it just doesn't work, right? So it's about having boundaries. It's about really getting again, getting clear about what's not working, what's not working for you either. Oftentimes we have these situations and these people where they, they'll come in and they're trying to like reorchestrate, or they're trying to do, whatever, in terms of trying to influence a business in one way or the other. And it's like, once you've got that vision, then it doesn't work, it doesn't work. So it's good. It's a good thing. So that would be my difference between decision and choice, right? Is that choices will show up to help you fine tune the decision. So I also got and I thought this was the coolest thing. This question, that came in, I absolutely love this. And it was, I just thought this was brilliant. And it reads, where are all the souls coming from? Have you ever talked to anyone who's ever had a past life that wasn't human? I don't know, like, brilliant. I love this. This is so cool. And I've got the coolest story for you guys, because we just talked about my snake Galen. So I have a snake story for you. This is neat. In the meantime, good morning, Bernie. Good morning, Bernie. Good morning, Amanda. Nice to see you. Good afternoon from the UK. I love that. I hope you guys probably have the same rain that I do right now. It's usually raining out there. So this was really, really cool. So can we reincarnate from animals? And so there has been study on this. And of course, our reincarnation expert in my opinion was, Dr. Ian Stevenson. And this was investigated actually by one of his colleagues. And there's been a lot of stories of reincarnation and past lives and things like that coming from places like Thailand, places like the Philippines, and locations like that. They just seem to be kind of in tune with that stuff. And this was the neatest story. It was about a little boy. The article ended up being published in 2015. It was about this little boy, Dalawong, in Thailand. And he ended up meeting an acquaintance of his dad's. This kid's only 3 years old, right? So he ends up meeting an acquaintance of his dad's, and he ends up having this basically flashback, and said that he was a snake in a past life that his father's acquaintance, his father's friend, had killed in a past life. And this was such an interesting story, because at first, of course, everybody thought, he's 3 years old, whatever, he's making things up. And but what was fascinating about this was the fact that he had all the details of a very specific encounter that he ended up having with this father's acquaintance. And he accounted being chased by 2 dogs, being cornered in a cave, being, eventually killed by this guy. And all the details, were there. And this kid's only 3. Had never met this man before. And they turned around at that point and said, the father's friend confirmed it and said, hey, this is true. This happened. And they couldn't explain it. So as they went along, and spoke with him, the kids talked more and more and more. And what was about this, and what was interesting, was that the kid ended up having, not long after this, a skin condition that basically creates scales on your skin. And he had it sort of on the lower half of his body. And he, as I say, no contact with this guy, had no idea of this story at all. And as I say, the guy who investigated, his name was Dr. Francis Story, and he was a late student of Dr. Ian Stevenson at the time. But it was just really, really interesting. And so he and a fellow by the name of Dr. Jim Tucker, who was Ian Stevenson's successor, ended up writing this in one of his books, and called Return to Life. And he was boggled by the whole thing. He couldn't believe it. There was another case of this, of a boy by the name of Peter, who reported once he was given this little candy necklace, the little candy necklaces we used to get. And he reported remembering being a chimp in a cage, being thrown a candy necklace by a kid at the zoo, and he basically picked the necklace up and threw it back at the boy because he didn't know what it was. But he had this clear memory of being this chimp. So it was, yeah, really, really fascinating. So yeah, there are cases out there where people have reported, being this past life as an animal and whatnot, and it's happened before, so it's really interesting. Good morning, Linda. Good morning, Peter. Nice to see you guys. Ontario, California. Yay! I hope you guys are doing amazing out there. Linda, we actually, at the beginning of this, we actually just talked about the idea of decision versus choice. So if you missed it, go back and check it out later. So the next one that I wanted to move on to, which I thought, again, great question, was a little bit more about what Linda and I talked about this morning. So this was the neatest thing, and I think this is a great review for everybody. Good morning, and nice to see you. Good morning, Tammy from New York. Yeah. Oh my God, you guys, it's just so, I love when you guys post where you're from. I love it so much because it's so cool to see where everybody's at right now. I just think that's so cool. So this was a great conversation we had this morning, and I wanted to bring this in and touch on it a little bit because I think it's a great review for everybody. And so she was asking, I know that people don't like to talk about how to protect themselves in the paranormal area. I recently heard that putting yourself in a high energy state protects you from low level entities, and changes your outlook on fear, which is said to be a low level state. Things like prayer, meditation, and singing were suggested to be used to get into a high level energy state. So yeah, so this is so cool, and I wanted to bring this in and touch on it. So I've for a long time, people have asked me, like, what do you do to, protect yourself in the paranormal field and world and things like that. But, this is really what it comes down to at the end of the day, is it really does come down to the fact that our emotions are dictating the frequency in which we receive stuff on the outside. So for example, if we are, in a energy of, depression or upset or sadness or frustration or anything like that, any of those negative emotions, we start to tune in, right? We start to tune in almost like a radio dial. We think our emotions like a radio dial. And at the one end, we've got, just that kind of negative, those crappy feelings that nobody likes to sit in. And then all the way to the other end, which are the more positive and joyful emotions like passion and fun and bliss and happiness and all of those things. And when we're tuning in to, fear and frustration and things like that, we're not tuning in to the events, the spirits, the entities, the people, the experiences that are in that pure positive range. We're not in range of it. It's nothing that we're doing wrong. It's not that they're not there. They are there, but they just don't exist in the frequency that's down here. So when we're down here and we're tuning into, frustration, then we'll end up getting event after event after event, or, entity or person or whatever that looks like, that represents that energy that we're broadcasting and putting out there. So that's really all it comes down to. So when people ask me, what do you do with, to protect yourself going into a haunted place that might be negative, really it's just getting out of range of that frequency, and for some people it's, as I say, for some people it's prayer. For some people, it's all sorts of different things. Prayer, meditation, journaling, patting their cat, singing, whatever it is that's for you, that works, that gets you into that high flying place. So yeah, absolutely. It's just about being in range of what you want, not necessarily being, in fear or pushing against what you don't want. It's just focusing on what you want. And, it becomes something that is just, it becomes easier and easier to do. When we're in situations where, whether it be, a negative haunting, or whether it be in a situation like COVID-19 and the pandemic, putting our attention on what it is that we want to focus on and be in range of it's so important. It's so important. And it can be really hard to do as well, because, we've got all of this information that's coming at us, and everybody that wants us to be, kind of buried in it. And you don't have to be unaware of what's going on. It's important to keep yourself educated. It's important to keep yourself, up to date with current events and things like that, especially if you're getting benefits or anything like that. You have to be up to date with that. But it doesn't have to consume your experience, and you don't have to be emotionally invested and attached to it either. It's funny because there's been a few conversations I've had with people where I think they start to think that I'm indifferent to what it is that's going on. And it's not that I'm unaware or, anything like that, but you don't have to have the emotional investment into the negative stuff that's going on. You just don't. You can hold the facts as they are, look at them, see them as what it is, and you can then turn around and be able to either let it go, or process your way through it in a way where you're just not feeling that anxiety or fear or anything like that. You can be aware of the facts without being attached to, the chaos or emotions that are going on around it. So I would encourage everybody to make that distinction for themselves, as I say, especially when it comes to the stuff that's going on right now, because we have so much news, right, that's coming at us. And yesterday, we talked about the idea that our, oftentimes the fear that people are feeling within this pandemic started before. It started before the pandemic happened, and the pandemic is really what's happening is it's heightening everything. Investigator John Tenney, he was saying in the New York Times article yesterday that he's noticed an increase in people reporting haunted places and haunted homes. And that's what this is, is that people are, they're discovering that, where they are at frequency wise. They're discovering, where on that emotional scale they're sitting based on, how they're feeling, how they're receiving this information, and how easily they can sit with themselves and be in stillness and be okay. It's really testing our focus. That's the one thing this is all doing for us. It's testing our focus. How do we want to focus, and how do we want to move forward and move ahead? Because really that is what matters. We don't have to be wrapped up in the emotion of it. And once we have a decision about that, right? Once we have the decision about that, then we can start to make the choices in between that move us forward. So, we might want to take an hour a day and catch up on news, and then make the choice to turn it off, because it's just at that point, you've caught up, you've got your information, and you don't have to be attached to that anymore. You've got your info, and let it go. So at that point, you can start to work decisions like this into your daily life, make the choices that are in alignment, body, soul, spirit, and source. All of it be in alignment. And once you've got that decision going, man, it's like things start to roll. And the great thing is, this can be a good thing or a bad thing. The universe will support you in whatever your decision is. You got to know that. It will support you in that decision. So make the decision wisely. I heard a really great comment the other day, and I thought this was brilliant. Where they, the person had asked somebody, have you had a good day? And they want to turn around and tell them all the things that went wrong, like everything that went wrong in their day. And then they get informed, okay, and the story you're telling about it is going to create your reality. Now I ask you again, how is your day? So yeah, keep that question in mind as you're moving forward and making those decisions. So I wanted to read you guys a little bit of Faith in the Valley today, which has a passage in it that I think is so relevant. And this is, of course, by Miss Iyanla Vanzant. She's just fantastic. I just adore her. But I wanted to read this because I think it's got some really, really, really good points about getting clear and that decision making. So check this out. When there is ongoing confusion or chaos in your life, you can be pretty sure one of three things is going on. 1, you are not clear. 2, you do not think or believe that you're clear. And 3, you have not made it clear to others that you are clear. There's a very simple solution to the problem. Number 1, get clear about what you want, what you're doing, and why you're doing it. Number 2, trust that you are clear once you get clear, even if everyone thinks you're crazy. Number 3, let people know that you're clear and that you are prepared to move ahead with or without them. If you can do this, one of 3 things will happen. Number 1, you'll get clearer than you are. Number 2, you'll get clear about what you were not clear on about them. And number 3, People around you will get as clear as you are, or they will take their confusion elsewhere. They just can't deal with it. They can't deal with it. And I've had that happen before as well, you know, and there comes a point where you really do have to be prepared that they are either going to come on your journey or they're not. They're either going to join that or they're not. And when they're not, that's okay. It doesn't have to result in anger or conflict. It really doesn't. It really does at some point just have to be about, you know what, that's okay. I bless you and let you go on your way. You know, it doesn't have to be about conflict and anger. And a lot of people want to make it about conflict and anger. You know, it's like, oh, if you don't agree with me, then that's it. We don't know, you know, I don't know what to do with that. And it doesn't have to be like that, you know? So the to-do that I wanted to, Linda, yes, that's right. Clarity is another protection. Yeah, absolutely. I love that. That's an aha moment right there. That is an aha moment. Clarity is another protection. I love that. So the to-do that I wanted to give you guys today is really, really cool. This actually comes from the astronaut Scott Kelly. Okay, so this is really neat because, of course, astronauts talk about quarantine. They are up there for, you know, sometimes years, either, you know, with one other person or a few other people, and they got nowhere to go, and I mean, that's it, right? Like, they are the masters of understanding quarantine and how this works. So I thought they were a really great place to look for how they deal with it. And this was really neat. So what I learned from him was that he had said, my goal was to get to the end of this with the same enthusiasm and ability and energy as I had in the beginning. So he made the decision. He set the goal. He saw the vision. That was his end game. So his choices started to line up with that. And what he realized is that instead of leaning into, you know, frustration of the mundane and being bored, he had this emotional target to aim for, to start to move his way through the times of anxiety and things like that. And what he did was something called mental time travel. So with this decision made that he wanted to end this with the same enthusiasm and mental energy and positivity that he did going into it, he began to mentally put himself in the position of the day it was done, the day he got home, the day he was back with his family, the day he was, whatever that looked like. He started to end up sort of putting himself into these roles and into these situations all mentally. It was really cool. And in reverse of that, he also would back up and go to a time where he didn't have what he had now. He would go to a time he didn't have it, and it made him extra appreciative of what he was going through at that moment. Like, he was going to space. Like, that's pretty cool. So it was really, really neat. Just being able to mentally kind of strap yourself in and traveling to a day where something is working. And maybe that's, you know, having a vaccine for the virus. Maybe what does that feel like? What does it feel like to sit in that, knowing that there's a vaccine, knowing that there's a cure, knowing, you know, how you're going to feel when all the family comes over, putting yourself in the moment as if it's happening, and feel it, believe in it and feel it. So this has been a great exercise for a lot of the astronauts to move through those hard times when they're in space. And I think it's spot on. And also, I might add to that, it ends up putting you in the frequency range of getting what that is, because you're in the feeling place of it, which I think is it's where you want to be. It's where you want to go. So yeah, I'm going to post a link to his article on mental time travel today on it came out of the New York Times, so I will post that on the Entity Seeker Facebook page. Yeah, I think that's just so super cool. So anyway, that being said, we go into our day with health and affirmations and all of those things, and making sure that we are in alignment with the decision to be well. So everybody take a breath. It is natural for my body to be well. Even if I don't know what to do in order to get better, my body does. I have trillions of cells with individual consciousness, and they know how to achieve individual balance. When this condition began, I didn't know what I know now. I don't need to understand the cause of this illness. I only have to gently, eventually release this illness. It doesn't matter how it got started, because it's reversing its course right now. And there's no hurry about any of this. My body knows what to do. Well-being is natural to me. My inner being is intricately aware of its physical body. My cells are asking for what they need in order to thrive, and Source is answering those requests. I'm in very good hands. My only work is to relax and breathe, and I can do that easily. And everybody take a breath. Thank you guys so much for another amazing spiritual healthcare day. Speaking of healthcare and self-care, I am going to be taking tomorrow off because I've got some spiritual healthcare stuff to do and working on the new masterclass course. So I will be back on Wednesday, okay, this coming Wednesday, and we're going to be right back here for spiritual healthcare at 10 a.m. Mountain Time. So in the meantime, you guys have so many exercises to do. You guys can fill this in until tomorrow. So or until Wednesday, you'll be fine. So let everybody know. But we will be back. I know everybody's so sad now. No, I'm taking one day off. I have not had a day off in 59 days. 59 days. And then we're going to do day 60. Then we're going to do day 60 on Wednesday. And we'll be back with like a whole bunch of new things and all sorts of stuff like that. So no, this is gonna be really good. And as I say, I'm plugging some more attention back into the masterclass. And and Kaz is saying that they hope I get to sleep in. I don't get to sleep in. My guy wakes me up at 7 a.m. every morning. But I love it. I love it so much. It's my favorite thing. It's my favorite thing. Yeah, it's great. But yeah, So no sleeping in, but I'm going to get up. And as I say, I'm working on the masterclass. I want to get that done for you guys and get that out. So I will be doing that, but I will see you guys on Wednesday morning, 10 a.m. Mountain Time. And I hope you guys have an amazing day today. Enjoy the last bit of the long weekend. Have a wonderful evening, you guys. Bye. That was it.